Well. Here we are. Andy has finally put up a video since I don't know how long it's been. It's not been that long though. In my defense, I haven't been gone that long. I did some streaming throughout the fall, but I'm back for one last video. First of all, hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, if you're a new viewer, hi, I'm Andy B, entertainment journalist and babbling content creator. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss when I go live with new content. So I've been gone again for personal reasons and because life has just gone in interesting directions. And I also forgot that 2021 is 2021. It is so unpredictable. It does, just when you think that we're done with some nastiness, it just keeps coming right at you. So, but I want to do one last video before we enter 2022, and I felt that there's nothing, and there's nothing else I want to talk about than Spider-Man No Way Home, one of the best films of this entire year, which is now out in theaters. Go see it, go watch it. It is so good. And I felt like, I haven't done a movie review in quite a while, so I'm a little rusty, at least when it comes to doing it on YouTube. So I decided, I'm gonna bring on one of my good friends he's one of my favorite YouTubers, Paul from Heavy Spoilers. If you haven't checked out his channel, go do it, go subscribe to him. He does breakdown for pretty much any TV show or movie that is in this, huge genre, especially the superhero genre. So if you want good breakdowns, go follow his channel. I've been wanting to work with him for quite a while, and since we started getting to know each other, and he's a good dude. So I'm happy to have him for my review on Spider-Man No Way Home. But yeah, enjoy our discussion, and I will see you right after our talk. All right, guys. So now I'm gonna bring on my friend Paul, who does Heavy Spoilers. And if you don't know what who Heavy Spoilers is, I mean, I don't know where you've been at, if you're living in a cave or something. But Heavy Spoilers is one of my top channels I go to for all breakdowns and discussions about films. So, Paul, welcome to my channel. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing good. Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad we finally get to do this. I know we talked like earlier in the year, like, yeah, we should do something, and then 2021 just flew by.
Yeah, it's been just non-stop, really. I thought it was going to slow down, to be honest. I was planning on taking this week off, but there's just been so many things coming out that I'm not really going to get a chance to, which sucks. But it's a fun job.
Yeah, no. As we're recording, at the time of recording of today, Warner just dropped a new Batman trailer that, the way I found out about it was through Paul's channel, because I'm like, I felt like it just came and went yesterday, and I just missed it. So, and who knows, with only a few days left of 2021, who knows what other studios will do, for sure. But yeah, if for people who may not know you, tell them about your channel and anything else you want to share.
Yeah, so basically, I just do spoiler talk reviews of movies and break down things. I do like spoiler-free reviews, but I find them quite limited in what they can talk about. And I'm basically someone who's like, right, you've seen the movie now, you've watched the TV show, let's talk more in depth about what happens in it and kind of what that means and where things could be going in the future.
Yeah, no, and that's the same approach I do, like with the Flash podcast, where I'm like, people. I assume people who will tune in will have watched the episode,
Yeah,
and they're probably
exactly.
like I don't even give spoiler warnings. I usually do like in season 1 and season 2, and now I'm like, but hey, like why should I? People have already seen the episode that then that's when they come to the podcast. So yeah, no, but no, you do great work on your channel. Like
Yeah,
I
thank
like
you.
it's whether it's your Spider-Man videos, your Batman's, Flash, all the Marvel Studio shows, which there's so many of.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about this little movie,
Mm.
this indie film that it's, I don't know, it's maybe done like $10 million at the box office or something.
Well,
Called Spider-Man No Way Home, from this new and upcoming studio called Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. They seem to really have their things going for themselves.
yeah,
I'm hoping they will stick.
hopefully, yeah. Good pun that.
But so as we said, this will be a full-on spoiler discussion. It will be heavy spoilers, literally,
Mm.
so if you've seen the film, be ready because we're gonna talk about all of it. So first, I just want to ask you, like, just before we get into what is your biggest like Spider-Man like aspect of your life? You know, whether it's the TV show, the movies, or the comics and so on.
Oh, probably the games, and maybe the Tobey Maguire movies. That's when I really started get because obviously everyone who grows up when they're a kid, their favorite superhero, the first one normally is either Batman or Spider Man. And I can't remember. I think I like Batman first, and then kind of got into Spider Man, and then obviously as you grow older, turn 8 years old, especially in the '90s, there just wasn't that much stuff around at that time, so I just didn't really I kind of grew out of it and got into other things. And then by the time that the Tobey Maguire film came around, and we had X-Men as well, and that's when I started getting back into this stuff. And yeah, I think probably the PS2 games, because I just used to play them so much. I remember my mom actually bought me Spider-Man 2 for my birthday. Uh, in the month before, I knew she had it, so what I did was I got the Spider-Man 1 PlayStation game and took that out the case, then found the one that my mum had hidden away for my birthday, swapped the discs round, and just played Spider-Man 2 on my PlayStation. And then she wrapped that and gave me basically a case with the first Spider-Man game in for my birthday. And I've been playing it for weeks. So yeah, just memories of that. I mean, that free roam city stuff was so good, especially at the time. It's kind of the standard now, but back then, that second Spider-Man game I was absolutely obsessed with it. Just everything in it, the story, the villains that popped up. You had Mysterio side stories and stuff like that. The pizza mini game. It was just incredible. It was like living in New York.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened to my copy of Spider-Man 2 on PS2, because I still have my PS2 somewhere at my parents' house, I think, but that game is just gone. But
Yeah,
I was obsessed with it because, like, yeah, the first one I didn't click with it that much, but and the third
yeah,
one was the third one. I guess it's best to leave it at that. But yeah, no, the games have really, like, who would have thought that we would be where we are today now with technology,
yeah.
with Spider-Man PS4 and Miles Morales and
Yeah. Well, the first PlayStation game was really good as well, like the comic book one, that had like Stan Lee narration in it and Bruce Campbell and stuff like that. With the whole Venom storyline in it, that was really good. I was actually watching the cutscenes from that the other day, weirdly. But yeah, just all the games just constantly pulled me into the Spider-Man stories. And the '90s cartoon as well. That was obviously great. There was so many Spider-Man things in the '90s, and then obviously when you got into the 2000s and the movies came out, it was just kind of an amazing era to be a Spider-Man fan. And I think he very much, it was Batman and Robin came out in '97, I think it was, and that was obviously pretty bad. And then Batman Begins didn't come out until 2005, I think. So Spider-Man pretty much dominated the early 2000s until that film came out. And I think studios know how popular he is as well, just by the fact they've recast him 3 times in the past 20 years. And Andrew Garfield, I think, was 4 years. He got recast 4 years after Tobey Maguire or something, if that. And then Tom Holland, I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 released in 2014, and then Tom Holland was Spider-Man in 2016. So Sony knew, no, just keep making Spider-Man stuff, keep putting it out there. And that's just because he's such a great character.
yeah, and like, if you even look at, like, I think it even also affects to the comics today as well. Like the fact that they can now do so much in live action, the whole Spider
Yeah.
Verse aspect. I mean, like Spider-Man into the Spider Verse. I mean, like, it's probably like maybe the most popular animated film right on the planet.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, yeah, there's also the joke about like how, like, the Sony keeps remaking Spider-Man because they don't want to lose their rights, but at the same time, it is one of the most accessible characters of our
Yeah.
generation. Like, it's like Stanley always said, that, when any of us read Spider-Man, we should be able to see ourselves underneath that mask.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why he will. I mean, even after we're gone, there's going to be generations to follow that will have Spider-Man as a role, and who knows what the Spider family will look like at that point. So, and it definitely seems that Sony really realized the gift they have with Spider-Man with this film, especially because this is really a celebration of 3 generations of Spider-Man, which again, like Andrew Garfield, if you're lurking and watching this, like, boy, were you the werewolf.
Yeah.
Like, not that anyone really believed any of your lies because
So
they
I
kept
think
getting.
some people did though. That was the weird thing. Like there was so much evidence when that 4K video came out of him on the scaffolding. I just saw there was still people going, "It's fake, it's fake," and I was like,
It's a deep
how do
fake.
you think this? Yeah, how do you think this is a deep fake? Do you realize how much money they would have to spend just on the costume? I mean, I looked up the costume. I think it was about $3,000 for that movie accurate costume. And then obviously when people say deep fake and Photoshop, I think they're just terms that they've heard before. They don't actually understand
Yeah.
how complicated they are. And it's not easy to just go in Photoshop and replace someone's face. You do have to have a certain skill level for it. And it, yeah,
I use this Face app on my phone.
yeah, exactly. That's probably easier. Just turning my light down. That's probably easier because yeah, when people were saying Photoshop and deepfake, I was like, it's not. There's no way that is a deepfake. That if you looked at Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian season 2, that is what a deepfake looks like. You know what I mean? That you can tell it's fake. Whereas this was like next level. If that was fake, whoever made that would be getting a job in Hollywood because there'd be so many studios like this looks like Andrew Garfield for real. Let's get him in. So yeah, that's when you knew. And then yeah, I mean, I was getting so many comments all the time, people saying that they weren't in it. And when the trailers came out and they didn't have any images of them and that, they just kind of doubled down on it and saying, well, you're gonna have to apologize on the 17th. And I'm like, no, they are 100% in it. Like, just use
You're gonna have
critical
to
thinking.
apologize. Oh my
Yeah,
god. Yeah,
just
like who would punch the lizard out of nowhere?
yeah, exactly. Like, why would they bring the villains back and not the heroes? It just doesn't make any sense. And even like when Jamie Foxx first announced that he was going to be in the movie, I remember he posted that image on Instagram of the three standing together, and there was a lightning strike in the sky and just stuff like that. It's obvious, you know what I mean? There's people slipping up all the time and saying, like JB Smooth, I remember saying he got asked, was like, who are you most excited to see Tom Holland working with? Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and he was like, "Woo, Tobey Maguire, of course." I was like, yeah, there's just constantly people slipping up. But I did see an account the other week that said, if they're in it, I will delete my account, and they did delete it. To be fair to them, so
Oh.
but we try to tell you they were definitely in it.
Yeah, you. It's just so funny because like I also remember there were wrap up crew, like there was like shirts and
Yeah,
caps with like they were using Andrew and Toby on that. I'm just like, I mean, like, what's the I know that people can sometimes make up some of these things just to get the
yeah,
clout, but I'm like, no, but guys, come on, like, there's just too many. There's too many clues at this
yeah,
point.
yeah.
So
So many things. Yeah,
oh my, I can't believe you're gonna have to apologize on the 17th.
yeah,
Yeah, I was just like, I was like, because I'd heard from my sources over the time that yeah, they're in there. I never asked like how much are they in it, whatever. So, but I'm
yeah,
just like, but like even like looking outside, I'm like, yeah, there's no denying. There's all the trailers are making it so clear. I'm like, even people were able to tell the whole Andrew saves MJ
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like just
Exactly. Yeah.
so
You
yeah.
could watch that trailer and see. But Andrew Garfield just kept denying it all the time, and I kind of hope that he keeps doing
That
this.
would be so funny.
Just
He's like,
every
I'm not
time he's asked
in
about it,
it.
he's like, "I'm not in it. I'm not in it." What
That's
you
just
mean?
photo. That's just photo. That's Photoshop. They're using CGI.
Yeah,
Like they brought a
yeah,
voice actor. That's actually Josh Keaton from
yeah,
Spectacular Spider-Man doing the voice. Oh my god, that would be that, and also that would be in such true Andrew Garfield fashion
yeah,
because like he's one of my chaotic kings. I love him, but like
yeah,
I could see him just being like, you know what? I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
this is Marvel Studios. They have great technology. They're just
yeah.
using Mandalorian stuff. So,
Exactly. Yeah,
oh my god, Andrew, if you're
but
watching this, please do it. Just for a couple of weeks, and then start talking about like, because I want to
yeah.
see like behind the scenes photos and all
I don't
that.
want him to ever admit it. I want him to be on his deathbed and being like,
Oh my god!
"Look, I'm not in it. I'm not in it."
On his tombstone it says,
Yeah,
"I
I
was
was
I wasn't in that."
yeah.
Oh my god. Well, let's talk a little about the plot. Like whenever you finish a trilogy, it's always a challenging thing. Because
Mm,
you have to go out big. You have
yeah,
to, you can't have like I feel like sadly, for example, in the Dark Knight Rises case, like it was a good finale, but like because the Dark Knight did so much, it's like it's kind of hard to live up to it. So like for
yeah.
this, I'm thinking like how are they gonna proper do it also? Do you looking at other MCU trilogies, not that there have been that many up, like, do you feel like this is a more than satisfying conclusion to Spider-Man's first
Yeah, yeah,
saga in MCU?
definitely. 100%, yeah. I think it's probably the strongest one. I mean, what other trilogies have we had? Iron Man, Captain America. I do like
For
Civil War, yeah, Thor Ragnarok, but I don't know if that was necessarily a closing of the book for Thor Ragnarok. It very much felt like just setting more stuff up, you know what I mean? Whereas this feels like they could very much just close things off there, and you might not see Spider-Man for another 10 years or something, and he just kind of goes off and does his own thing. But yeah, I do feel this was the strongest trilogy. I mean, Iron Man 3, it's all right, but it's not. It doesn't feel like it's sticking the landing and kind of bringing everything together. You know what I mean? Whereas No Way Home's a culmination of 20 years of filmmaking from different franchises and people who didn't get to say goodbye to the character. Like Toby was meant to be making Spider-Man 4, and that fell through. And then Andrew Garfield obviously got fired. So this felt very much like the culmination of their arcs as well. And I'm sure we'll see them again. But yeah, it was just like a really nice tying of the bow on everything. It's great seeing the villains back. Great seeing um, Andrew and Toby back, and also the ending as well. I think it's one of the strongest endings to a film ever for me. Just so deep, knowing that this guy's basically sacrificed his entire personal life to continue being Spider-Man and to protect the people around him. Just works really well on a number of levels. I love it. Yeah, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, for me, I one of the things that I was always concerned for this film was like because one of the things that and I don't know how you feel about this, but like I even though I think some people have taken the whole Iron Man Jr. joke a little too far, I do think there's some valid criticism
Yeah,
there that
hundred percent. Yeah,
because Peter Parker for me, like he is like he's me, he's you, he is like us who are like the everyday man. Like he is, he's smart, he's nerdy, and he has real life issues just like anyone else. And like he's not a millionaire like Tony Stark. He isn't a super soldier like Captain America. But he has these amazing gifts, and what does he do with them and all that. And for me, like I do feel that Tony Stark he overshadowed Spider-Man and Spider-Man Far From Home. Like even when the man is dead, the boy
yeah,
the boy is still haunted by
yeah,
this by this
yeah,
by this hero. And I'm just like, guys, I just want to see Spider-Man stories about Spider-Man. I don't want I
yeah,
like Jake Gyllenhaal, having his character having worked for Tony. Again, it was kind of cool when they revealed, but at the same time, I'm like, oh great, so all the Spider-Man villains used to work for Tony Stark, or have a beef with Tony Stark, and that's how we're gonna see them in
yeah.
MCU.
Well, what this was pretty much the origin story of the MCU Toby Maguire, Toby, the MCU Spider-Man, because we've had three films, and they all have kind of touched upon, foundations of his origin story, like his high school years, and even Aunt May's death was very much the Uncle Ben death of the MCU. You know what I mean? She even gave the speech about with great power comes great responsibility, and we've very much been watching this his origin story without knowing it. Because obviously, like I said before, 2014 was when Andrew Garfield last played Spider-Man, and then 2016 you had Tom Holland, and Marvel Studios at the time were very smart in just skipping the whole origin story for him. We'd just seen Uncle Ben die again. We'd had the whole thing of him getting bitten by a spider, and we just wanted to, we'd seen it so many times, and Marvel was so smart to just jump in straight away and basically have Peter Parker set up and introduced in Civil War. And what they've done without us even realizing it is give us an origin story that does touch upon the staples of the character without us realizing until that final scene in No Way Home, where he's just swinging through New York by himself. You know, he's in his apartment on his own. He's listening to the police scanner, and it just works so well. There's so many different things in it that have just came together, um, and it just sets up the future so well. What I think it does brilliantly is that it closes the book on this home trilogy, and the next one we're just very excited for it to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and like, you know what you when you were talking about the way that they kind of gave us an origin story without having to show it, it kind of reminds me of do you remember in the Incredible Hulk during those first like credit scenes when
Yeah,
they show all the flashbacks to everything? So like, for me, it's
yeah,
like that's kind of what I like when we have to reintroduce a character we've already seen before. Like,
yeah,
just do it briefly, like, because again, like people will like someone as big as Spider-Man, like everyone knows, like, yeah, he gets bitten by a spider, he loses his uncle, and off he goes. So I'm happy that the MCU didn't focus too much on that aspect. Kind of like they address it. They talk about they also kind of like tease about it, like how Peter's life was like in the early days of him being Spider-Man, which I understand. I think the new animated show that's coming, Spider-Man freshman year
yeah,
or something. Yeah,
yeah,
I think it's supposed to touch upon that. So, but yeah, for me, like for me, it was very important that this film really makes this about this is Peter's story. Like, I don't need another like, and that's why I was even like anxious about Doctor Strange being in this. And like
mm.
I don't hate him. I don't love Doctor Strange. I like him. I think he was a little douchey in this film,
Yeah,
but
he always is.
yeah,
That's the thing. Yeah, people don't remember how douchey that Doctor Strange actually is. But if you go back and watch his solo film, he's a real douche in that. Even just the way he talks to Christine, he's just a douche. When
yeah,
when she's like at his bedside and his hands are all you know in those
um,
the metal cast things.
yeah, they're
Uh,
called something.
yeah,
I'm forgetting.
yeah. But even then, he's a douche. His whole thing is just being a douche. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. He doesn't really have a likable personality. I quite like him, but I get why so many people don't. But I do get what you mean. I mean, Mysterio was pretty much when he should have realized that he doesn't need an elderly mentor figure. He can very much figure things out on his own if he just trusts his own instincts, which is
Yeah,
pretty much what the spider tingle and that was about, really, wasn't it? It was him realizing I don't need to rely on adults to do certain things. Um, so yeah, I do totally get that criticism of stop bringing old men into Peter Parker's life to tell him what to do.
yeah. Oh, I will say in this case, because I wrote about it in an article in Screenwriter a couple of months ago. Like, for me, like what would be a more beautiful thing for Peter Parker to be mentored essentially by himself, and which we
Yeah,
literally get in this film. Because I'm like, you know, I felt I'm being hypocritical, like, because I was always like, he doesn't need an Avenger to always be there holding his hand, like, because again, I know that there's a whole like, well, Tom has such a baby face, he looks like a kid and everything, and like, something I loved for him throughout this press tour is that like he started to feel more like looking more adult, which I think
yeah,
is it's good because he's growing up, like because he you know I feel he's like 23 or something,
yeah. Quite
so
old now. Is
yeah,
I'd say
yeah, he
old. It's about
yeah.
old
Oh,
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Tom, you better start worrying about those gray hair and all that. That's
yeah.
why covering this up. No, this was actually the only Spider-Man merch I actually own in my house. I mean, I've never used it for anything, so I'm gonna do it today.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for me, like, how cool would it be if Andrew and Tobey essentially got to unintentionally mentor Tom's Peter for his final story in this trilogy, and that's
Yeah.
what we got, and I love that.
Yeah, because why it works so well is that obviously Toby and Andrew both say there was a moment where we did something wrong and that sent us on a darker path. For Toby, it was when Uncle Ben's killer, like killer, because I know Sandman did it, but the guy in the first movie who ended up dying, he brings him up and says that it didn't make the pain go away. He just stayed angry. And then Andrew Garfield says he stopped pulling his punches after Gwen died. And they very much both have that moment where they stop Tom from going on this darker path. So Tobey Maguire obviously stops him from killing Green Goblin by holding the glider up. which the guy who killed Uncle Ben was the guy that sent Toby on the darker path, and if Tom kills the Green Goblin, then that'll be the guy who killed Aunt May. So he'll be going on that darker path. So Toby stopping him doing that works really well. And then Andrew saving MJ as well, because that's his Gwen.
Oh, yes.
So Andrew saving MJ is stopping Tom from going down the dark path that Andrew went on after Gwen died. And just these two characters both kind of chipping in to help stop him from being a darker Spider-Man. It's so well put together, the movie. It's really, really well done on a number of levels.
Yeah, because because one thing I always kept thinking about is that, like when it comes to Toby and Andrews, like at least with Toby, like we had somewhat of like we finished a story in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean they could always if Sony wants to do a Spider-Man 4, I don't think anyone is gonna complain. But I think with Andrews, like I feel that essentially what he talked about in the movie is essentially what I mean his Spider-Man 3 would have been. Like that him being on his
Yeah.
darkest path. And I just you know, and also in a way, even I don't know if the filmmakers intended to do this at all, but I almost wonder like if them seeing Tom's Peter somehow maybe like brought back some of that optimism that they both have, and maybe like now they're back in their
Yeah.
own worlds, it has maybe helped them to become better heroes.
Yeah, I think it has, genuinely. I think them all meeting each other at the end and just saying it's what we do. I think you very much get that optimism from them where they've helped each other out almost and seen other versions of themselves and what they can be. I am blown away by the film. It just the more I talk about it, the more I think it just works on a number of levels.
Yeah, because for me, like I came out of the theater and I try to like because as a critic, I don't want to just be just a cheerleader, and
Mm.
I want to give a product its praise and its criticism, but I kept sitting there and I thought for days. I'm like, I don't think there's anything wrong with this movie. Like
Yeah,
like no matter how much I break it down, like and there's notes in my bedroom when I was just sitting like writing down in nights, being like, okay, this happened, but I love this, and then this
yeah,
happened, but I love this too. I'm like, this is probably like, again for me because I've also been struggling with Phase 4. Chang
yeah.
Chi was
Phase
all
four's
right.
been it's been all right. I think there's not been the standout thing that's really like you know what I mean.
After
I totally
Endgame,
agree with you.
especially.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with Phase Four.
And again, it's like it's not terrible. I just have feeling like Black Widow. I was only interested in it to see Yelena because I think she's a more interesting character. And I mean, if everyone has been watching Hawkeye, you will know how amazing she is. Shang-Chi was it was all right. I think the action was amazing. It's something new to the MCU. Eternals. I don't even know what to say yet.
Yeah.
And even though Venom isn't part of the MCU, but like that was for me like up until No Way Home, Venom was like my favorite Marvel movie of the year, and then this came.
Mm.
so
Yeah.
and you would figure that after Endgame, you would want to start Phase 4 on a strong note. And like I know the pandemic probably changed some things here and there, but I'm
Yeah.
like, but I still felt that there's still that pizzazz as missing that we were expecting from Phase 4.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they teased the multiverse for so long that the whole Ralph Boner thing was such a kick in the face for what we thought we were going to get. I thought we were getting Magneto in One Division and stuff. I thought they've got Quicksilver back as her brother. Magneto's going to come in as the dad. Um, and then that didn't really open the multiverse up. And then we had Loki, which was really good, but that didn't really bring across massive multiverse elements.
It's a weird take on the multiverse too, because for me it seems
Yeah,
like it's like what they say when you break the timeline, it creates this other reality. I'm like, but that's not how the multiverse works. It's alternate Earths
yeah,
in the
it's alternate
multiverse.
realities. Yeah, yeah. Um, and then yeah, I was exactly the same. I just thought Phase Four, it's been fine, but there's not been a massive standout. And then this has come along, and I'm just like, right, why wasn't every film like this? Where they delved into the past and saw what worked, try to get as many people across as they could. And I think in the Multiverse of Madness is going to do that. I think Ant Man Quantum Mania is going to do it. And I think a lot of the reshoots in Doctor Strange, that we've heard that they're getting more people involved. I think they've obviously looked at this and just thought, oh, if we get more, people from established franchises in, then more people are going to want to see it. Um, so yeah, I'm glad that by the looks of it, that they're actually starting to learn the lessons from No Way Home and the multiverse, which is what people want to see in this phase. The first three phases were very much about building up the heroes and building towards Thanos, whereas this, I think, it's very much building towards Secret Wars and getting all the different franchises. Disney bought Fox for a reason, and
Yeah.
they're clearly working with
No, it's
Sony
just for it's
for
just
a
for
reason.
decoration. Just decoration.
Yeah,
They're just gonna do Funko cases and
yeah,
frames and stuff like that. They're like
yeah,
X-Men. Who wants the X-Men? No one wants the X-Men. Who wants the
yeah.
Fantastic Four? We don't need that.
But it's crazy that they bought the X-Men. They pretty much bought Fox for the X-Men, and the first thing they did was get Evan Peters back to do a dick joke. So yeah,
I was
just
Paul, I was crying when when the finale came, and my no, the whole rapping, like it's just they tempered with his memory. He doesn't know who he really
yeah,
is. And then the finale is over. I'm like, that was
uh,
the best Quicksilver we ever had.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
I have no disrespect for Aaron Taylor Johnson, but for me, like even Peters is the more likable Quicksilver, and I'm like seeing him and Elizabeth Olsen together was just so powerful. And I'm like, why
Yeah,
couldn't we have had this? And why can't we keep this? And then I kept thinking, you were saying, we would have seen Magneto.
mm,
I was even hoping for my girl Polaris to show up to maybe like have the whole mutant family, but yeah, Ralph and a dick joke. That's
yeah. That's the thing, though. Like that Quicksilver scene in Days of Future Past, it's one of the best movie scenes ever. It's so good. I remember watching that in the cinema and just being completely blown away by how good it was. Uh, and you'd go in with these expectations. You see Evan Peters show up as Pietro and just think, they've done it. They've done it. It's going to be the best show ever. And then it just was, it's fine. It's fine. But No Way Home is what we wanted to see from the multiverse.
yeah.
These real characters from the franchises, they are those versions. And we're hearing about what's happened to them since we last saw them.
And you know what I love about No Way Home is that because in so many ways, bringing Tobey and Andrew back and all these villains could easily be seen as Marvel and Sony just wanting to cash in and just
Yeah.
wanting a cash grab. But the thing is, like, they all their scenes, all their roles, and all their stories in this film make so much sense, and it works so well. Because, like, again, I never thought that when we were getting Spider-Man in the MCU that, like, oh, the trilogy will end with the Spider-Verse essentially.
Yeah.
But the fact that it works so brilliantly, I'm kind of shocked at, like, because they probably didn't plan this 6
No.
years ago, and the fact they actually make it work is when I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm sold on the multiverse now in the MCU. If you can do it well and not make it pointless, because for me, like, I don't know what the rumors are for Doctor Strange 2. Like, there's
Yeah.
supposed to be
Crazy.
an X-Men cast member coming back or something.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what people Twitter been saying, but like for me, I'm like, well, again, do it for the story's sake. Don't do it just because, like, oh, people will buy tickets and they will make it so that it actually has a purpose. Because, like, for
Yeah.
me, it's like if I want to see Hugh Jackman as Logan again, I don't want that to ruin that ending of Logan. Like, if you're
Yeah.
gonna bring him back, make it have a purpose.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Definitely. I don't think they will get Hugh Jackman back, but at this point, the thing with Phase 4 as well was it just had me on a downer because I thought, oh well, this stuff's going to be pretty predictable, and
Yeah.
our fan theories are going to be more interesting than what's in the actual film or the shows. Whereas this has really proved me wrong. Um, so yeah, anything could happen at this point. Is how I feel again. Whereas if you'd asked me 6 months ago, I would have just said, they'll not get the X-Men in. So yeah, crazy.
I gotta add because and we talked a lot about the story. The death of Aunt May. Do you like it? Like, do you
Yeah,
feel it works for in this case?
really like it. Yeah, I really liked it because she gets hit with the glider and you think she's dead, and then she gets up and she's like, "I'm fine, I'm fine." It's like, oh, thank God. And then when she starts giving the speech, it's like, oh no, they're gonna kill her. And then she gives the great power, great responsibility speech, and it's just, yeah, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I think it works perfectly. And obviously, she has instilled in Peter this, even though she got killed by the goblin, she still instilled in Peter this idea that he has to help them. And I think a great aspect of the film is that he wants to cure the villains, not kill them. He wants them to genuinely go back to their worlds as better people, which I think is another great thing. Like Days of Future Past, the whole idea that they could have went back in time to kill Mystique, but because it's Professor X, who's very much a, you know, he wants the best in people. He wants Logan to go back in time and stop her from killing Trask, which is, it's a nice, switch on the Terminator thing. And I think curing the villains before you send them back is also that sort of thing where it's like he's still the hero. And yeah, just the death scene I think is absolutely great.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because I was sitting with some teenage girls next to me, and like they were, my God, they were talking a lot. But it was funny because like one, but they thought like you're like, oh no, she's fine, and so. But then I started seeing Ame's hand like kind of tingle. So
Yeah,
my girls, you're about to lose your hearts,
yeah,
and they everyone was sobbing, and I was just like. Because I also had my mask on, and so it was like I didn't want to get a stuffy nose, so I'm just like, I'm just gonna cry when I get home.
yeah.
But no, for me, like, and because now I can also understand why we haven't seen Uncle Ben or really had touch upon Uncle Ben.
Mm,
Like for me, I almost wouldn't be shocked if in this universe there was no Uncle Ben. She,
yeah,
she raised him as a single aunt or mother, whatever how you want to call it, and they did it so that if they ever killed her off, that there would be that not origin beat, but that beat that would keep him going and
yeah,
also remind him like why is he the hero that he is? Because yeah, he if he had killed Norman, I mean, we could he could have easily become just like Andrew and Toby were like in their later years. But again, like this film remembers what's so good about Spider-Man from 3 generations, and so for me, like yeah, because I also feel that after Spider-Man PS4 came out and people like and Sony and Marvel kind of saw the attention to that, I'm like, okay, I think we can kill off Aunt May too in the movies now too, because I think now people seem to be like not open for the idea because of course it's Aunt May, we love Aunt May, but the fact that they actually there's a stake in this movie
yeah,
because some of the MCU films, it's just like, oh, the heroes just get really bruised up and the costumes get really torn apart, but they're fine. No one
yeah,
dies.
yeah.
So
Definitely, yeah. And I think that is a big issue with the MCU, where even when they kill characters off, they come back down the line. Whereas I think this death will be permanent.
yeah. And then they just bring back what's her name? Rosemary Harris from
Yeah,
the the
yeah,
Spider movie. She comes from another universe. She's like, I lost my Peter. I need to be
yeah,
someone's aunt and give speeches.
yeah,
That actually is just so great. I know people make fun of like that how many speeches he has in the trilogy, but my no, listen, I will sit on the floor and listen to Ame talk
yeah,
about anything. Like I will listen to her read the phone book.
yeah.
So villains. There were so many villains in this. We didn't get Sinister Six. That's as many as
No,
five. We got Sinister Five. It doesn't
five.
sound
Yeah,
good. Sinister
no.
Five. Um, who resonated with you the most and why?
Defoe. Yeah, and I really liked them all, to be honest. I mean, the lizard didn't really have much to do. Sandman didn't have that much to do. But I think the reason they didn't get the Sinister Six is, from what I've heard, is that Sony want to do the Sinister Six down the line, so they don't want to necessarily do the Sinister Six now. And I'm sure that five villains come across because Peter interrupts the spell 5 times, and Strange he says something like, "You interrupted my spell 6 times." He's like, "Well, I interrupted it 5 times," and that might be why Venom comes across too, because they're kind of going back and forth on whether it's 6 or 5. But yeah, Willem Dafoe just knocked it out of the park, I think. And I really liked the change when Peter swapped over the chips in Doctor Octopus's neck, and he just was like, "My God," like back to being a nice guy again. So yeah, he was great. Electro was great. Yeah, they were all pretty good. They all fitted the purpose that they needed to.
Yeah, what I it's so hard because Green Goblin and Doc Ock are like in that original trilogy are my two favorite villains,
Yeah,
and for me, but I think that in the end, I think Alfred Molina is the one that I am more connected to because I love the fact that at the end of the day, they looked at Spider-Man 2 and remembered that, hey, you know what? He was gonna sacrifice himself in the end. In the 11th hour, he came around and was gonna save New York, basically. And I love that, like in this, where like again, he turns on all of them and helps the Spider-Man. And I love that. That's why I love so much. Like, because for me, like I didn't want to see Alfred Miller come back as an evil Doc Ock just for the sake of being evil. I felt that if anyone out of these five should have been like the main bad. It's Goblin, of course, but the fact that and also again, I know there's been that clip circulating with Willem Dafoe talking about that he wanted to do the stunts and so on, and that first of all, that man does not look like he's 66 years old. Like
no,
whatever he's doing, I'm like, I want that magic for myself.
yeah,
But the fact he wanted to come out, he was like, I don't want to just do a cameo. I want to do action. I want to really be. I want to do. I want to be in the costume. I want to be in the scenes and so on. Just speaks so much of commitment from an actor who's has such a long legacy in this industry.
yeah.
So
And a really smart thing they did was lose the mask as well, because that was
yeah,
such a. You've got Willem Dafoe, who's got this really
I love
expressive. Yeah,
the
Willem
face,
Dafoe.
the
You've got
face.
this guy who's got a really expressive face, and you cover it up with this big Power Rangers mask where you can just see his mouth and barely make out his eyes. So getting rid of that straight away, that was brilliant, I thought. And when Tom's punching him in the face and he starts smiling and laughing, it's just terrifying watching that happen. But there's also other scenes where he brings a lot of humanity to it, like when you're first introduced to him in Feast,
Mhm.
and he's like, "There's someone living in my house." He's like, "I don't know where I am anymore." You're just like, "Oh man, this it sucks for this guy," and you really want him to get help, but then the guy just goes too far. It's just
Yeah.
really, really bad. Yeah, just it's so chilling. Like when Tom's spider sense goes off, and he's kind of walking around the room trying to figure out who's turned, and he webs up Defoe's hand, and he's like, well, that's some neat trick of yours you've got or something. It's just so chilling, so well done. A really good performance.
Yeah, I was worried. The only thing I was worried about Defoe was that that somehow he was gonna, when they got rid of the mask, I'm like, please don't turn him into an actual goblin. Like
Yeah,
I do not need to see that happen. Like just let him act with the tools he have already. Because like yeah, that face is just one of the most expressive faces I've seen in any movie or TV show at all. Where like he can do so much. When like I understand why people want to see him as the Joker or in a DC
yeah,
movie. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'm like
no,
again, but it's like we have Goblin. I'm just like the fact that
yeah. You just need Goblin, really. Like, let the Joker be the Joker and let the Green Goblin be the Green Goblin. You don't have to have the Green Goblin and the Joker be the same person. I think Willem Dafoe is the best Joker that we never got, but
yeah.
I'm happy that he's the Green Goblin.
Yeah, the only thing you were talking about Lizard, like he didn't have much to do, and like I just wish that his CGI looked better. I'm like,
Yeah.
how did 2012 make him look so good, and yet here he looked like marzipan or something, just
Yeah,
walking around talking.
I think it's just the studios at the moment, the effects studios, they just have so much work on because Marvel's giving them so many projects a year that are all very, very heavily using CGI. Even 10 years ago, when you watch Iron Man, it had CGI in it, but there wasn't, that much in comparison to today's films. Whereas if you watch a behind the scenes thing for Marvel now, there's so much that isn't real. Like even Nick Fury's gun in Far From Home when he goes to um when he shoots Ned and knocks him out, that gun's not even real. So someone's had to sit and he was basically just holding a stick and someone's had to replace that with a gun model. And there's a bit in Captain Marvel as well where she's got the helmet on and they're doing the test flight and her visor that she doesn't have one and they had to add that with CGI. And there's so many different effects in these films that I just don't think the people working on it have enough time to fully polish everything up. So I think you do get effects like the lizard where you think that looked better 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for me, and like I hope that at some point we do see the Sinister Six in some capacity, and like, or if anything, we see the Sinister Six within the MCU, like with those villains, because they
Yeah,
it will make more, because it will make more sense for them to be completely like irredeemable and hatred, hating Peter and so on. But these other five, like I understand why it was easy, or not easy, but like why it was believable to cure them and save them. And also, I'm just so happy for Jimmy Fox that he finally got to
yeah,
play an Electro, like because that
good one.
the Electro he played here is what I was expecting in 2014, and then
Yeah,
whatever we got there, I'm like, guys, he's Jamie Fox. You
yeah,
can do so much with him.
yeah. Why
He's
is he a
so
nerd?
yeah, like, well, I don't mind that he's a nerd, but like he's just so
Yeah,
like,
but he's
oh
like not a nerd. He's like a real life nerd. He's like a stereotypical nerd where if you went back in time to the 70s and were like, what
yeah.
does a nerd look like? It's like, well, it's a guy with glasses and he's got a comb over and buck teeth and he sits in his house talking to himself. Whereas that, I don't think that nerd necessarily exists anymore. But yeah, it was just such weird casting to get Jamie Foxx to do that. Whereas here, he's just very clearly after power. And,
And the blue skin was
yeah,
so
exactly.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love the little nod to the mask, like anytime he would like
Yeah,
glow up.
so good, yeah. Yeah, really, really good.
Um, I gotta ask you, like, what were some of your favorite scenes with all the Spider-Man? Like, if you had to rank them, because they had, I mean, all of them are so good.
Yeah, the pointing scene was really good. They had 2 pointing scenes I caught. There was the talking about the alien, fighting an alien, and Andrew's like, I'm so lame." He's like, "You're not lame, you're amazing." Um, so, I think the one that always breaks me is when Andrew catches MJ, and she's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, are you okay?" And she's like, but yeah, so many good scenes with them. The whole science thing, talking about their relationships. I like that this movie just took time to have them just talking to each other as well. I really didn't think we'd get scenes like that where they just kind of sit about and just talk about what it's like being Spider-Man and what their relationships are like back home and their best friends. And just all those scenes, they just had so much character to them. I could happily watch an hour-long scene of just them talking about life back home.
Yeah, I think for me, like when the scenes with Andrew and Toby when they first show up, and
Yeah.
also what a cool story for Ned to be, to find that he is actually magical. Because I'm like, if this movie ends somehow with him becoming Hobgoblin, I'm gonna be so upset with Kevin Feige. I'm like,
Yeah.
Kevin, don't you dare take away one of my favorite friends. I mean, he kind of did anyway, taking away one
Yeah.
of my favorite friendships in the MCU. But if I like maybe now like, I don't know. Maybe Ned will show up in Maybe he's one of the people reshooting for Doctor Strange 2 or
Yeah,
something.
maybe, maybe.
But that was just so cute. Like he's like MJ's like throwing bread and being like, do the
Yeah.
walking on the crawl on the
Yeah.
rooftop. I was like, why do you need me to do it? Like I'm already sticking to the
Yeah.
and Ned's Iola was just like, can you get rid of the web? He's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And Toby and Andrew being like, yeah, we don't go and tell people that we're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And somewhere they're like looking at Tom and like, Tom, look what you've done. Like you're not following their great example. But
Yeah.
then yeah, the rooftop scene where they all like, and the fact that they don't have to say I'm Peter Parker. Like, Tom already gets it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that this is me, and just them talking about like those dark paths and
Yeah.
what. But also, what makes Spider-Man so great is that in the end he always comes back from the darkness,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I also, of course, like the web shooters. He's like,
Mm.
web fluid, what's that? Like for our web shooters, he's like, I don't need that. And then and
Yeah,
like them just freaking out and then asking like, so how does it work? Like, well, I don't need how to explain. It's like
like
I don't
breathing.
don't
Yeah.
do breathing. I just breathe.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, them admiring each other and being like, no, Andrew, you are amazing. I'm so happy to use amazing and didn't actually say
Yeah.
like fantastic or spectacular. Come on, guys, it's right in the title, the
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man. Come on, and of course all the fights. Oh, because I thought like what if we get a scene with all of them just screaming and going woo while they're web slinging? I'm just like, they're not gonna do that. The MCU is not that cheesy enough to do it, but thank God they're that cheesy enough to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And I love how Tom kind of slingshots them as well during that scene. Yeah, great seeing them on screen together. When they
And
land
also,
on the head of the Statue of Liberty as well, and there's the three of them, it's just that's like an Avengers level shot for me, where the Avengers assemble. Just seeing them all drop down, it's great.
and kudos to the people who, again, I mean, even though we knew they were in it, like when you look at the trailers and you see them all, I mean, you can tell now like what shots they were edited
Yeah,
out from, but like they still made it in a way like if people if someone was not on Twitter and not knowing that there were all these rumors and so on, they like I could have believed that yeah, they're like this is just Tom Holland's Spider-Man story. It's he's fighting them all by himself. I mean, it didn't help that a Brazilian trailer came out with the whole list of getting. If
yeah.
that trailer had
Uh,
not come out, but again, that's where I feel like I think Sony like they definitely planned some of these
yeah,
leaks. But like yeah, it's just kudos to those people who had to edit them out and like make it look as believable as possible because I don't even know how hard it can be, but it sounds like it's very
yeah,
challenging. So yeah, like yeah, again, like they really like I think I wrote this on my review for the Marvel, but like what felt like 20 and 30 minutes of them being together. It's like it's perfect. It's like it's not too little, it's not too much either. But like, again, I don't think anyone would complain about seeing a Spider-Man movie
yeah,
for 2 hours with all of them
yeah.
together. Speaking of cameos or appearances, Charlie Cox as our boy
Mm.
Daredevil is back. I needed more though. I was a little disappointed we only got him in
Yeah,
one scene.
because I knew people who'd seen the movie before I went to see it, and obviously I'd heard all the rumors about Charlie Cox. And I said, "Is he in for it much?" And they were like, "He's in 60 seconds. If you look down at your popcorn and dig in the bag and look up, you'll probably miss him." So I do kind of wish he was in it a bit more.
But it's still kind of poetic that he got to be Peter's lawyer because like what storyline is he in the comic? Did he because that has happened though, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I don't know, to be honest. I
Yeah, I just remember I
don't know
remember
exactly which story it is, but
I've
that
seen
was
comic
rumored for a
images,
long time. Yeah,
but yeah, so like but now and also I don't know if this was ever planned, but like to have Hawkeye season finale and Spider-Man No Way Home come out in the same week.
yeah,
I don't know but if that was planned, that is again, Kevin Feige scares me, like in the way he's like, we're gonna plant these things so that it come exactly at on in December on
yeah,
that's this week.
yeah.
Um, but hopefully we'll get to see Kingpin, kick Spider-Man's ass at some point.
Hopefully,
Um,
it took a big L from Kate Bishop. So
oh,
I want to see a more menacing Hawkeye, more menacing Kingpin.
yeah, though I get that, I still laugh at the people who are like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe they killed him off." I'm like,
Yeah,
guys,
no,
he's not dead.
yeah,
So the number one rule is that if you don't see a body, like even if you just hear a gunshot,
yeah,
like and just a body fall into the floor, maybe he just got shot in the shoulder and he's just like, I can't stand up because it actually freaking hurts.
yeah,
Um, Venom, and that was also like a little bit of a letdown. I'm like, but
yeah.
it's
Venom, yeah, definitely. I think it was pretty meh what they did. I would have loved to have seen him stick around in the MCU. I think that was kind of like it was clearly just to get the symbiote, wasn't it? That's all Feige really did it for. And whether Venom comes back or not, we don't know yet. But in terms of having that as a post credit scene, I was like, oh, kind of sucks. We wanted to see Venom in the MCU for so long.
Yeah, and like you know what's so weird is that they kept saying so much about like you know what's the Spider-Verse gonna look like in with No Way Home, and Sony was always being like after you see No Way Home it's gonna all make sense, and they do the
Yeah,
post credit scene of Venom 2. I'm like, oh my god, is Tom Hardy also gonna be in this? And then
yeah,
I'm like, wait, so he was just sitting and interviewing some bartender for
yeah,
hours about the Avengers? Are you kidding me?
yeah. That was another thing when I was talking about plot leaks. People were saying, "Well, this doesn't sound right because Venom's not in it." Um, and obviously he's going to be the next member of the Sinister Six. And I was like, I don't think he will. I don't think he'll pop up in this film that much. So yeah, that was kind of sucky, but Maybe it'll all make sense in a couple of years, and we'll be like, "Oh, I'm glad they did it this way."
Yeah, I just in the end for me, I just I just expect him either to have a big role in this film or at least still be stuck in the Earth
Yeah,
MCU. I think
yeah,
this is why I need numbers. As someone who watches the Arrowverse, I'm like Earth 1, Earth 2, and 3. That's great, but in the
yeah.
MCU, I'm just like Earth
Earth
variant.
MCU, yeah,
Yeah, I'm like I need numbers, Marvel. But like with Earth MCU, like I thought he would at least stick around here, and then maybe he's developed for Spider-Man 4 or
yeah.
if somehow Venom 3 ties into it. Um but yeah, I want one of the last things I wanted to ask you is the future for Spider-Man MCU. Like what we know there's a fourth one. They're doing this new trilogy. They're saying
Yeah.
that Tom is at least one of them. I don't know what the situation is like, but what do you see the future for Spider-Man being like in the MCU after all this has
Um,
happened?
maybe introducing Miles Morales and him kind of going forward and teaching the lessons that he's learned from, his mentors. That because obviously, everyone's forgot about him, but he's not forgot about them. So he's still taking the lessons that he learned from Tony Stark and stuff. So maybe him, taking Miles under his wing or something, and just being a down to level. I really like Homecoming because of how low level it is. The all the vulture stuff in that I really, really love. So just something along those lines I think would work really well. Where it's just more low level. He's not out fighting big aliens. Get a villain in like the Chameleon or something, and
Oh,
just
that would be so
yeah,
cool.
just keep it kind of low level. Him developing more as a person rather than the big action scenes and stuff.
Well, that's what I love so much about like because I know some people like there's been different takes on the ending. Some people love it, some people hate it. I love it because I feel like it brings Peter Parker to a place in the MCU that I always want him to be. Like he is now, like he's back almost where he began. Like he doesn't
Yeah,
have the high tech anymore. He doesn't have the Avengers. He's in this world, but he is not literally a
yeah,
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Like he's gonna be
yeah,
looking out for the little guy in New York. So I love even though and I cannot believe Sony would show this in the trailers for the last few days, but like the new suit.
oh
Sony, come on,
yeah, at the
don't
end.
show that. Let them see it for themselves when they see the movie. But like
Yeah,
that looks so damn good.
yeah,
And I'm just like, he's living in his own apartment. Although I was for a moment there when I heard there was a guy in the back, I'm like, rent is due on my
yeah.
wait,
Oh yeah,
is it him? Is it
yeah.
him? And
That
I'm
was a
like,
miss. They didn't get him. Mind.
oh,
I
no, I
really wish
thought for
they
I
got
was
him.
like, I was listening, I'm like, is that him? Like maybe they only got him for like a voiceover, because that would
Yeah,
have been funny too.
yeah.
But maybe in the fourth one. But yeah, for me, like I think Miles would make the most sense. I don't think you have to kill off Peter. I think
No,
Spider-Man
no.
PS4 has proven that you can have Spider-Man together, and I
Yeah.
think it would be. And also, this could be a way to bring back Donald Glover as Uncle Aaron,
Mm.
and then expand upon that world. So I thought in a sense before seeing this movie that I'm like, I feel this will be a good fit place to kind of wrap up Peter's story, no matter what, like, if he's dead or alive. I mean, he wasn't obviously never gonna die, but like even if he's alive in this film, I think I will be ready to say goodbye to Peter and then see Miles. But now I'm like, I'm ready for more Peter Parker, and
Yeah.
hopefully with Miles. I think that's the more natural progression, and of course him reconnecting with MJ and Ned and Happy, which I think that would be their version of Uncle Ben at this point.
Yeah.
um, so, but I just don't know like how they're gonna do it because again, it's like how do you mess with
Yeah.
Doctor
But
Strange magic?
you can really just start from scratch though. You can just take it as a new trilogy and just start from scratch almost, and just have Peter working at working at a science lab or something, and studying with Doctor Octopus like how they do in the PS4 game. You can really just take it in any direction.
Hopefully, maybe see him actually do some more photography because I'm like, that's the
Yeah.
one thing. I'm like, I don't think
Yeah.
this boy snapped one photo in this
No.
whole trilogy. I'm like, we need to go. And
Took some
also,
selfies swinging at the end of Far From Home, and that was it.
yeah, and oh my god, how could you imagine him working for this J. Jonah Jameson for this?
Yeah.
They would be that would be so hilarious to
Well,
me.
Betty works for them now, doesn't she? For on the TikTok, Betty Brant is a big part of that. So
Of course, they have a
maybe,
TikTok. Of
yeah,
course.
maybe. he'll see her doing it and think, "Oh, I could make some money from this."
Yeah, I completely missed that she had started working for the Daily Bugle, but
Yeah, if you go
that's
on their
cool though.
TikTok page, she's pretty much hosting all the stuff.
That means I have to go on TikTok, Paul. I don't want to go on TikTok.
Uh,
I will go to YouTube and see if someone has posted them there. I don't
yeah.
know. But yeah, for me, I feel that they really put Spider-Man in a good place that I never thought they would. And like, yeah, you know what? I like this idea. I actually like your idea way better now. That rather than having to get everyone to remember, why just go back from the beginning and start, build it back up. Start a new type of relationship with MJ, a
Yeah,
new
just
relationship
get
with
Gwen
Ned, and stuff.
involved or something and get Harry involved,
Well,
you
that's
can
the thing.
really
I
do
was
it.
worried, like, because when Norman said that, like, I can't, like, my son is not here, and someone
Mm,
is living in my house. I'm like, does this mean that the Oscorps never existed in the
yeah,
MCU?
that was yeah,
Or is that?
that
Or
was
am I
strange.
misunderstanding it all together?
It might be somewhere else, it might be on the West Coast or stuff. I don't know. But, yeah, they definitely say that Oscorp doesn't exist in New York.
Oh my god! If only Norman had just Googled, being like, "Where are the Oscorps?" And then they were like, "Oh yeah, they're in LA. They live in California and so
Yeah.
on." Um, but um, but yeah, anything else you wanna say about this movie,
I
or
love
like
it.
I?
That's it. I love it. It's great.
And do you
Can't wait
think
to
they
see
should?
what happens next.
And should they make Amazing Spider-Man 3? Do you think?
Yeah, definitely make that. Do it, please.
I want that, or I want the web verse, as I've always called it, to
Mm,
be part. I want that to be the Venom verse. 'Cause I feel like that makes tone wise, it makes the most sense. Like it feels like when I watch the Venom movies, I'm like, this feels like it could have taken place in the Mark Webb universe the entire time. And see Andrew and Tom Hardy go up against each other. I think that would be fun. So,
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
yeah, I did want to touch upon that, because I see that the hashtag has been blowing up like crazy, like, and hashtag has been going crazy when
Yeah, yeah,
all the news sites are starting to pick up on it as well. But it's like,
definitely,
yeah,
yeah. Make it.
uh, yeah,
And
well,
Sony aren't Warner Brothers either. I think they would genuinely see that trending and be like, "Yeah, we should do this."
yeah, and also, can I ask everyone to stop using No Way Home as an excuse to get on the Flash's case, and I mean the
Yeah.
Flash movie now, because I'm like, guys, we've not seen anything yet. We've seen 60 seconds of footage, and that's it. Like, who knows? Maybe there's other surprises in store. I don't know,
Yeah.
or maybe I do know and I can't say anything. But
Yeah.
like, but I'm not gonna be like other people on this platform that decided to go and spoil things by posting photos they thought were fan made.
With the, watermark on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
but
telling people that the studio got in touch about it, which pretty much confirms that they are real.
yeah, um, and for people who don't know what we're talking about, you will have to figure out in the comments.
They live a
Um,
lovely life.
yes, but Paul, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thanks for having me
joining
on.
me. No, it was so
Appreciate
much
it.
fun. We should do it
Yeah.
again at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm hoping there's gonna be movies in 2022. So, who knows? I mean, with the
Yeah.
way the pandemic is going, who knows? But yeah, if you want to tell people where they can find you on social media, plug
Yeah.
your channel, I will put it all in the video description below. But yeah, uh,
Just add heavy spoilers. That's all it is. Just add heavy spoilers on everything, and you'll find me. I'll be there waiting for you. You better come, or otherwise I'll kick off.
yeah, go check it out. Basically, if there's any TV show or movie you're watching, Paul has a cover for you. He will break it out. Like, there's things like,
Yeah.
again, like I was watching
I'll
the
help
the
you out.
his breakup for the Batman today, and like there were things that I didn't even pick up on. I'm like, I didn't even see that. And the thing is, like,
Yeah.
because you zoom in and I think you also light up the video so well. Where I'm just
Yeah.
like, now I can see what's actually happening.
Yeah.
So thank
Thank you.
you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
we're back. So again, thank you so much to Paul for joining me talking about Spider-Man: No Way Home. As you can tell, we're nerds. We love Spider-Man. We love this movie. And if you haven't seen it, go see it. Like, really go see it. Also, if you haven't seen it and you watched the review, you did it your own words, but hey, thank you still for watching. But yeah, it is. I can't wait to own this movie on Blu-ray, and just, I'm hoping for more merchandise with all three of them. So fingers crossed. But also, I just wanted to, before I close this video, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's still subscribed to this channel, who hasn't left. Again, this year has been very challenging for many of us, myself included. And YouTube, doing videos is something I wanted to do for quite a while, and do it more consistently. And it's just all about finding out how, the good rhythm for it. So, but yeah, I'm planning on coming back in 2022 more regularly. I have a new camera that I'm getting used to, my first DSLR camera, so I'm excited for that. And I'm trying some new things for streaming, so expect me to be playing games again. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you that since I created this channel, which was, I don't know, almost 10 years ago, because usually I just put up video interviews on this channel, or I happen to put up a Batman vs Superman announcement clip that somehow has over 2 million views. So also thank you for that, and who's still, because I know a lot of people who watch it is just rewatching it over and over again. So that means a lot that you guys love that moment so much, because I imagine being in that room hearing it like I was. I was so young. Now I'm an old man. So there's that. But but still, like, despite me being inactive, I still appreciate you guys still being subscribed to this channel and being in support. I know some of you follow me on social media, and we talk sometimes. So it's fun. The internet can sometimes be a scary place. We all know that. So, but yeah, I just say thank you, and I just want to wish everyone a happy new year wherever you are. Hope your 2022 is amazing, full with everything that you didn't get in 2021, and just stay safe. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, get vaccinated, wear your masks, follow regulations, so we can finally start getting back to normal. Because I think we want to leave 2020 and 2021 behind us. But yeah, so that's it. Big thank you, love you all, and I will see you in the next one.